Well, look at what these crazy, goofy, cult dingbats are saying now. These lunatics from MSDNC, DNC. I need to take some space for me. So that's from Joy Reid and Dr. Amanda Calhoun. Tell Kamala voters not to see Trump supporting family during the holidays and to tell them why this is cult behavior. This is what a cult leader would say. Because we know that Joy Reid and whoever this Dr. Amanda Calhoun are don't love and care about their viewers. Obviously, otherwise they wouldn't lie to them constantly and try to trick them into voting for things that are going to be very bad for them against their own interests. What's going on here? So they're both totally mentally healthy, good, joyful, wonderful people. MSNBC's Joy Reid featured a Yale psychiatrist. Why is that no surprise? Why is it no surprise that an Ivy League Yale psychiatrist is on the air giving basically cult leader orders to the viewers of MSNBC and Joy Reid that they should distance themselves from their own families because they don't agree with the cult ideology. They should distance themselves. They should alienate their own families because their family isn't in the cult. Why is it not surprising that this is an Ivy League, a Yale psychiatrist? Unbelievable. I mean, the academy is pretty much lost at this point, right? The academy needs to be completely, the first thing that needs to happen is absolutely no federal funding, no taxpayer funding. They gotta work it out. They gotta use their endowments, which are massive, and just work it out in the free market. Let the market decide. No more public money to them. That's the first thing that's got to happen. Certainly, if it's just going to be a woke indoctrination factory, which it appears to be, you've got a Yale psychiatrist telling people who aren't in the cult, telling the cult members that watch MSNBC to alienate their own families, to separate themselves from their own families because they're not in the cult. Only the cult members can hang out together. Why is that? Because perhaps, just perhaps, they might have ideas that might counter the mind pathogen, the woke mind virus that has possessed these people and turned them into zombies with apparently no free will. That's why cult leaders try to separate the cult members from their families, from their friends, from the people who care about them. Because one of those people might get through and they might realize, oh, wait a second, I'm in a cult. Oh, yeah, let's leave right now. Let's go. I'm ready to go now. Oh, I just realized that I'm actually in a cult. That's why you tell people to avoid people with different information, to avoid people with information that might be an antidote to the mind virus that's possessed them. And it might reveal a pathway out of the cult. And Joy Reid does not want people to stop watching her show. I mean, the few people that still watch it, she wants to keep them. Talk about bananas. Talk about absolutely nuts. So MSNBC's Joy Reid featured a Yale psychiatrist during a segment on her show, The Reid Out. I would call it the Tard Out. The Tard Out. I just made that up right now. And I think it's pretty good. The Tard Out. I like that. Let's try that. The Tard Out. Where the pair talked about how Democrats should shun family members who voted for President-elect Donald Trump during the upcoming holidays. Reid spoke with Amanda Calhoun about how Democrat voters, particularly LGBTQ+, the plus stands for, they're not quite sure what it is, but they're definitely sure it is. They don't know what the plus is, but they're definitely sure that it's real. Alphabet individuals and women should approach family members who voted differently than them. Quote, there is a societal push that if somebody is in your family, they are entitled to your time. And I think the answer is absolutely not, Calhoun began. Absolutely not. They have different ideas than you. They're not in the cult. Quote, so if you're going through a situation where you have family members or you have close friends who you know have voted in ways that are against you, so it's not just that they've voted in ways that you don't agree with, or they have a different vision for the future. No, they're voting against you. That was their vote. Again, this is cult leader stuff. This is what cult leaders would say. that are against your livelihood, then it's completely fine not to be around those people and to tell them why, she continued. To say, I have a problem with the way that you voted because it went against my very livelihood, and I'm not going to be around you this holiday. I need to take some space for me. Well, unless your livelihood is DEI instructor or host on MSNBC, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how it's going to go against your livelihood. I mean, maybe if your livelihood is a government job that pays you to discriminate against people based on immutable characteristics against identity, and maybe if your job is to, I don't know, try and indoctrinate and brainwash kids in public schools, maybe that's going to be a trouble. Maybe it's going to be a problem for your livelihood. I think it should be, frankly. Just going out on a limb there. I think it should be a threat to their livelihood. I need to take some space for me. I would say take all the time you need and then some, and then just continue. I mean, it's a sad thing, isn't it? It's a sad thing. I mean, I would never, obviously, I wouldn't alienate a friend. I wouldn't remove a friend from my life, never mind a family member. I think the unfortunate thing is some of these woke zombies, they become so unpleasant and so narcissistic and self-centered that the family members are probably actually kind of relieved when they say, I can't be around you anymore. You voted against me. You don't think I exist or something that I saw on TikTok. Probably there's a lot of families that are just like, oh, finally. Finally. Oh. Since it became apparent that Trump had won the presidential election, Reid has voiced discontent with those who voted for the GOP nominee. I think that's putting it lightly. Earlier this week, she complained about the fact that white women, did not come out enough to support Vice President Kamala Harris in swing states. Reid highlighted black voters' strong turnout for Harris, adding that, quote, white women did not turn out at high rates for the Democratic nominee. I don't know. Maybe they're sick of being demonized for being white constantly on shows like yours. Reid also blasted Hispanic men who followed post-election data, which showed this demographic voted 55% to 43% in favor of Trump. That's according to the New York Post. Well, that's not supposed to happen. Y'all voted with former Trump advisor Stephen Miller and David Duke, and against your own sisters. Voted with David Duke. I mean, they just make this stuff up. They're not. It's got to be the easiest job in the world, actually. Just spewing just whatever crazy nonsense, the first thing that comes into your mind, to idiots, right? The idiots watching on MSNBC. David Duke, really? I mean, I guess it's at least a different name than Hitler, because they usually just go with Hitler. Against your own sisters, who chose Kamala Harris with 60% of their votes. So you own everything that happens to your mixed status families and your wives, sisters, and abuelas. From here on in, the MSNBC host previously said. So, yeah, it really is like a cult. I mean, she's obviously furious at the fact that obviously, according to her ideology, right, all people are separated into identity groups, faceless identity groups, or they're, faceless cogs in some identity machine. And each one of those groups has its assigned political ideology and social ideology as well, right? So it's like everybody except for white men is Marxism. That's just what you are. And if you don't do that, if you're not willing to be just a good little Marxist, a good little useful idiot, then they're furious at you, and you've got to internalize this and internalize that. It's not the kind of diverse voices they want. When they say they want diverse voices, they don't want diverse voices. They want total conformity. Total and utter conformity, but they want to be able to say, well, that person who agrees with my crazy Marxist beliefs is black, and that one is not black but brown, and that one is a lesbian, and that one's trans, but they all agree 100%. We're all in total conformity, ideological conformity with each other. That's what they mean by diverse, just in the shallowest sense possible. Anyway, what awful people. What horrible, horrible people. Don't see your Trump-supporting family during the holidays. For them. Just ruin your family, ruin your family's holiday, ruin your own for them. For these miserable, awful Marxists. Who, by the way, don't even believe in nuclear family. They don't agree with the nuclear family anyway, right? To them, you just belong to the state. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that. Please like, share, and subscribe. Subscribing really helps me out. I thank you for that. I will see you next time.